Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for November 1st, 2022, from John chapter 11, Changing Evil into Good. Previously, we heard about the raising of Lazarus from the dead. Jesus told the people this was going to happen so that they would believe that Jesus was truly sent from the Heavenly Father. So what would be the result of the people after the raising of Lazarus from the dead? So let's find out from John chapter 11, verse 45. Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what he did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. So the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered the council and said, "What are we to do? For this man performs many signs." So the religious leaders understood that Jesus was doing signs, that is, the works of God, but they were not believing. And apparently some of the people who also witnessed Lazarus rising from the dead also did not believe, but some did believe. But let's continue on, verse 48. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. So the religious leaders were affirming that everyone would eventually be believing in him, but notice what they were afraid of: losing their place of authority. In verse 49, but one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all, nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish." Verse 51, he did not say this of his own accord, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not only the nation only, but also to gather into one the children of God who were scattered abroad. Now, this is interesting. It's about prophecy, because this actually happened. Jesus did die to bring all humanity back into relationship with God. However, Caiaphas was not a believer in Jesus Christ, but God still used Caiaphas for God's glory. What Caiaphas thought that he was doing was bad for Jesus turns into our salvation. So notice the take-home message. God can take the evil of this world and their plans and turn it to our good. Verse 53. So from that day on, they made plans to put him to death. Verse 54. Jesus therefore no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went there to the region near the wilderness, to a town called Ephraim, and there he stayed with his disciples. So even though God can take evil and turn it into good, notice Jesus was not inviting the evil to come. Instead, he was laying low, so to speak, until the right time. Verse 55. Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and many went up from the country to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. They were looking for Jesus and saying to one another as they stood in the temple, "What do you think, that he will not come to the feast at all?" Yes, Jesus was a wanted man. They were looking for him, to arrest him, and eventually to kill him. Verse 57. Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone knew where he was, he should let them know so that they might arrest him. The evil and jealous plans of the religious leaders were playing exactly into God's plan to restore humanity. Again, we need to realize this and keep this in mind when we see evil and evil plans around us. We need to remember that God is in control, and God is more powerful than the evil. God is ultimately going to defeat evil when Jesus dies on the cross. So when we see evil, and we may even experience some of that evil, that God will ultimately use that evil to our good. Because, yes, Jesus did defeat sin, death, and the devil when the evil plans put Jesus on the cross. Yes, God can take evil and turn it to our good. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for listening.